Why should an amateur runner even care about VO2Max? That's the question I've been asking myself for a few months now. If you are new here, my name is Tiago. I am on a long-term journey to improve my fitness, run further, run longer, and see how far can I actually push this body of mine. I've been running for 6 to 7 years. I'm consistent, I've been competitive with myself, but I'm not elite. I'm not chasing Olympic trials. I'm in fact chasing only personal progress. And lately, everywhere you look on YouTube or social media, people talks about VO2Max, LT1, LT2 threshold aerobic engines, like if it is a standard vocabulary. So I thought, do I actually need to know these, or am I just being influenced by algorithm-fueled fitness jargon? Let's unpack it properly. So what VO2Max actually is without the science mumbo-jumbo that everybody mentions. VO2Max stands for maximum volume of oxygen. More specifically, it's the maximum amount of oxygen your body can use during intense exercise. It is measured in milliliters of oxygen per kilogram of body weight per minute. That sounds technical, I know. So here's a real life comparison. Imagine your body is a car engine. Oxygen is the fuel that allows the engine to produce power. The bigger and more efficient your engine, the more fuel it can burn to produce speed. So VO2Max is basically the size of your aerobic engine. If your VO2Max is high, you can use more oxygen to create more sustained effort. If it is lower, you will hit your limit sooner when the effort rises. It doesn't mean you're faster automatically, or you are more talented, or you are a better person. It just tells you the ceiling of your aerobic capacity at a specific moment in time. Mine came back at 45.8. For context, elite male runners 70 to 85 plus, recreational male runners roughly 40 to 50. So I'm comfortably in the recreational bracket, which feels accurate in my perspective. The question is why athletes test it, and why normal runners do too. Elite athletes test VO2Max because tiny improvements matter for them. If your VO2Max improves from 75 to 78, that could mean serious competitive gains. For recreational runners like most of us, or at least like me, it's less about podiums and more about the baseline. It answers things like, where am I really? Is my training working? What is my actual aerobic capacity? It's like getting a financial statement. You may feel rich or you may feel poor. That clarity is very powerful and important for athletes, either professional or recreational. The age question, does VO2Max drop as we get older? Now this is the part where people quietly worry about everything about age. Yes, VO2Max generally declines with age. On average, it decreases around 5 to 10% per decade after your 30s if you don't train. But here's the key. Training slows down that decline massively. A well-trained 45-year-old can easily outperform an untrained 30-year-old. So age affects potential ceilings, definitely, but behavior affects outcomes more. That is why watches like my Garmin estimates fitness age. Mine says I have a fitness age of 36. Is that scientifically life-changing information? No. It is mildly satisfying? Absolutely it is. But we shouldn't treat it as a verdict on our worth. Google Trends and the VO2Max obsession. Interestingly, Google Trends shows that interest in VO2Max has grown massively over the last 5 years. Why? Wearables. Garmin, Apple, Coros. Everyone now sees a VO2Max score on their wrist, and once you see a number, you want to improve it. We humans are wired like that. The problem is that most watch-based VO2Max values are estimates based on pace and heart rate. They are directionally useful, but they are not lab-grade precise, which is exactly why I have decided to test mine properly. What about my lactate threshold test? What that even means? Alongside VO2Max, I did a lactate threshold test. Now, let's explain that clearly. Lactate is produced when your body breaks down carbohydrates for energy. When intensity rises, lactate accumulates faster, and your lactate threshold is the effort level where lactate begins rising sharply. A real-life comparison would be, imagine filling a sink with water. At low effort, the drain keeps up, but at a high effort, the tap runs faster than the drain, and the water starts building up. That overflow point is your lactate threshold. I started at 5 kilometers an hour on the treadmill. Every 2 minutes and a half, speed increased by 0.5. Between each stage, 1 minute and 30 seconds, rest for a blood sample from my earlobe. So what were my results? My LT1, 9 kilometers an hour at 151 beats per minute, 1.6 mmol lactate. LT2, 11 kilometers an hour at 170 beats per minute, 2.4 mmol lactate. The maximum heart rate, 187 beats per minute. So LT1 is your all-day pace zone, while LT2 is where it starts getting uncomfortable and sustainable only for shorter durations. This gives me training zones based on psychology, not guesswork. My zones in beats per minute are: my zone 1 is 93 to 111, my zone 2 it's 112 to 129, my zone 3 it's between 130 and 148, my zone 4 or my threshold it's 149 to 168, and my maximum heart rate zone stands at beyond 168 beats per minute. What about my VO2Max results versus my watch? The lab result it's 45.8 and my Garmin estimates 49. Is the watch wrong? Not necessarily. The watch estimates based on heart rate, pace, historical patterns, and depends on the watch you use. Its algorithm, it's not a gas analysis machine strapped to your face. I've been on Garmin for years, I trust it directionally, but lab data gives you a precise anchor to where you really are. And precision is very useful when you are serious about your personal progression. Where I did it and the costs associated. I did my test at the Human Performance, Exercise and Wellbeing Center at the Buckinghamshire New University, here in UK. The cost was £150 and they were highly professional, very welcoming, and their lab was dressed with high standard equipment. For me, it was really worth it. Not because it made me faster overnight, but because it gave me the clarity I was looking for. Would I recommend it? Here's the honest answer. It all depends on you. If you are happy running for enjoyment, using your watch zones and progressing steadily, I think you don't really need these. But if you are curious, if you want a true baseline, if you are working with a coach, and if you have specific performance goals, maybe that makes sense for you. So then yes, it can be really valuable. For me, I'm targeting an half marathon under 1 hour and 45 minutes, long term 1 hour and a half, 10K under 45 minutes, and 5K under 22 and a half minutes. Now, my coach has now psychological anchors to work from. And for me, that's powerful in my perspective. Now, I want to do a disclaimer and also provide you some final thoughts. First thing is I'm not preaching that you should do these tests. These results are mine, tied to my fitness, my history, and my current life stage. My perspective is you should always seek professional advice if you are building a serious training plan. But for me, this was about understanding where I'm at the moment. Running is addictive because it reveals things about you. And this test revealed something simple. I'm solidly recreational, there's room to improve, and that excites me more than any fitness age score ever could. As always, go out no matter what. See you on the next one.
I will stand and sing. Oh, oh.